Arsenal. Arsenal this weekend. Are Arsenal going to go 8 points clear? They do play before Man City. Are they going to beat Brentford? What are you saying, Egal? Are you going to bounce back this week?
I'm very confident that the team will bounce back at home. Just look at our record at home this season. We're one of the best home teams. And I think that against Brentford, these guys are going to be up for it. The home fans are going to get us through it. And I'm hoping that Mikel Arteta makes some rotation. I think it's time to make some rotation. Maybe see Trossard make his first start. See Tomiyasu back in the mix with his first start, even though Ben White has been scintillating this season and Gabriel Martinelli has been also. So yeah, I'm confident, and I think this is an opportunity to see some fresh legs in the squad. So let's go get that win. And I'm not going to say my score, but at this moment in time, I believe we're gonna beat Brentford. Even though that I'm not going to disrespect Brentford, they're a good team, but hey, I'm confident in my team's performances at this moment in time.
Anybody see an upset here? Of course, Arsenal were outplayed by
Yes.
Everton last week, but this is at home. You do see one, Tom.
I really like Brentford's team. I think Brentford's team. I know Arsenal done them in at the start of the season 3-0, but Brentford just have a knack for these sort of games, and I think Everton have given not a blueprint because it won't work every time, but they've given teams an idea of what can cause Arsenal problems. And if I was looking at all the other Premier League teams, I think Brentford have the player profiles best suited to that beyond Everton in terms of a physical midfield. I think Jensen, Norgard, Josh Da Silva, they're all midfielders that can do that hard yards, do that running. And with Ivan Toney up top, like, I thought he was supposed to be suspended a month ago, but hey, how he's still here now. He's always a threat. So I don't see them beating Arsenal because I think Arsenal are in such a position where they'll constantly find a way to recover. But I could see a draw. I could see Brentford getting a goal early on, and then Arsenal having to bide the time and wait, get one late on, but just not be able to get the second. I could easily see a draw, and I just think there's the potential for this little. It won't be a long spell, but maybe 2, 3, 4 games at most, where Arsenal just look a little bit shaky until they hit that game where they bounce back straight away. I don't know what big games you've got coming up soon, Egal, but once you hit that big game that you comfortably win, that'll be the one that.
Can I tell you something quickly? When we last lost the game, it was against Manchester United away, and the next game that we played was against Brentford away with no Martin Odegaard. Everyone expected that game to be a tough game. What happened? Fabio Vieira came in, bagged the goal. Jesus bagged the goal. I think someone else bagged the goal. I forget who. And in that Saliba, I think in that game, and all three we left Brentford with a 3-0 victory. Not a lot of people have done that this season, so I'm confident, bro. And when it comes down to what you said about Brentford, I don't think I would be as worried. I don't think I would be as I don't think I would disagree with you if this was away from home. But the fact that it's at our house, bro, I'm not concerned.
I can't lie though. Brentford haven't lost in the Premier League since November. Believe it or not, that's a lot of games. Yeah. Like in the Premier League alone. So they're finding something. But I'm not about to do this on Arsenal because I don't like Arsenal, bruv. Every time there's this what if moment, they had 6 changes against Man City, right? Last game they just got done out by maybe a manager bounce. I can't see Arsenal losing this whatsoever, man. They're at home. Every time there's you know what it was when they lost against Man United, they thought it's done. Even I thought it was done. It's like here comes the crumble. Went on a mad run. Then they had a draw against Southampton. Yeah, they're done. Cool. Then they went on a mad run. And every time they stopped and they've had a blip, they just go on some sort of run, right?
Kath, you're talking like that Man City, and I don't like it.
No,
mad runs.
Wait.
But it's true though. These mad runs. One sec.
But we're better than them. That's
one sec. They are the thing is, whether we like it or not, we have to be realistic with today. They are like Man City last season, bro. Like with these mad runs. Whether we like it or not, go check it for yourself. They're putting them on.
Well,
whether we like it or not. But I'm just saying, I'm not saying Brentford are out of the game because if they do end up getting a result at the Emirates, I'm going to start thinking shit. Is Arsenal's mentality, this mentality shift, all gone for all of a sudden? I don't believe for a second Arteta's going to allow that right now for the position they're in, especially when they need a bounce back. Maybe Trossard should start. But where they thrive, I find Brentford is it obviously through Toney in the air. Well, what we don't seem to believe is that Arsenal in the air with their two centre backs, are one of the best in the league, if not other than Newcastle, the best when it comes to headering. Gabriel, and Saliba. So I think Tony would find it a very hard game. Where he might expose them is, of course, through their fullbacks. But they got Norgard in that midfield, G. They got Partey, Odegaard, and that, and they're at home. They're going to be singing their "Oh, London forever" and all that kind of stuff. You know what I mean? So for me, yeah, whatever, same shit. But what's it called? I just think it's going to be too much, and they're going to always have the ball, and it's going to be very hard for Brentford to get out of their own space. That's what I believe, anyways. Obviously, you think different, Jordan.
1 second before
I just
George
think that
George,
Egal, no.
I have to say this before you go. What he said is absolute facts, and at this moment in time, you're talking about a team that may not be City, but we are currently better than them, and we're currently one of the best teams in Europe.
Again, so when I said talking like your City, I'm talking about like City across the last 5 to 6 years, not just one season ago. You don't become a team doing something across 6 months. You do it across a consistent period of time, which is years, and that is what City have done over many years, not just one season. Is they go on these long 10, 11 game win streaks, and Arsenal haven't done that across many seasons.
That's not true.
You've done it last season. Yes, I'm not going to hear about last season because last season you still finished outside the top 4, so it wasn't consistent enough. But again, Egal, you spoke. It's my turn to speak now, and Egal, we're not going to listen to any of your. I agree with Cassis because he's drinking out of your. Yeah.
What are you gonna say
again? So,
look at the calendar year.
Yo, what is you gonna say?
Let me just continue on my point about Arsenal. Yeah, I'm not here to come and discredit everything that you're doing. We've all seen how Arsenal progressed this season, but again, over the past week, we've also seen how Arsenal dropped points in. They lost 2 games. You lost against Everton, you lost against City. It was a big game, bro. You didn't drop points, but you lost in the FA Cup. It's a trophy. It's something. What?
2 back-to-back losses and the world's falling apart.
No one said the world's falling apart, Gal, but you have to take that into consideration that Arsenal are still they showed kinks in that chinks in their armor. And for me, this game against Brentford, like Cass has highlighted, Brentford haven't lost since I believe October or something like that in the Premier League. Against Aston Villa. They've been very strong. They have a good attack. They're a high goal scoring team, and not many teams stop them from scoring goals. I don't see Arsenal stopping them from scoring goals, and I also don't see Arsenal scoring too many goals. We saw in the last couple of games, you did have some problems with that finishing. The attack wasn't flourishing as much as it usually does. And you can't rely on Odegaard to get you over the line with a little nice edge of the box shot. You can't rely on Saka to get you over the line with a nice edge of the box shot. It's just not always going to work. And I don't see Arsenal walking away victors today in this game. I see you dropping points, and I see the pressure getting to the players. I saw last season, and I'm going to keep mentioning it, Arsenal crack under the pressure. They fall under the pressure. Next week, you've got one of your biggest games of the season. You've got one of your biggest games of the season, and it's against Manchester City. So you know that this weekend is a massive game, massive points needed, and I feel like you're going to crumble under the pressure and drop points. It may not be a loss, but it's not going to be a win.
Okay, first of all, since we've come back from the World Cup, West Ham 3-1 at home, Newcastle 0-0. When you look at Manchester United 3-2, so I don't know if you're looking at the fact that we
Cass said the exact same thing about the Leeds game leading into. We haven't lost 13 games at home. It doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter.
That's 14 games now, mate.
1 second.
Thanks.
You know what? I'm gonna deal with facts. I feel like a lot of the things that you're saying are based on your own feelings and the fact that you're hoping that these things happen.
Of course, it's based on my own feelings. That's what I think.
But when it comes down to the situation that we currently find ourselves in, this Arsenal team defensively is one of the best teams, and especially at home. When you look at it, we've only conceded 10 goals this whole season at home. I don't think Brentford's going to come to our house and we're going to concede 2 goals and lose the game 2-1 or something like that. Personally, I'm going into this game comfortable, and I think I can sit back, relax. Whenever the game is Saturday, I forget what time it is on Saturday or Sunday, but Saturday, I think
3 p.m. 3 p.m.
3 p.m. kickoff on Saturday. I'm going to be sitting back, watching the game, relax, because I know Arsenal at home, we take the lead early. We tend to control and coast throughout the rest of the game. And hopefully that's the same thing that happens. But hey, it is what it is.
Do you know what's mad? Obviously, I've backed Arsenal a lot this year. And I've been right to, because I've been right about them pretty consistently. I have to agree with Egal on this. Do you know what? Let me premise this by saying I get where George is coming from. I do think in a few games recently, there's been not a struggle from Arsenal. The last couple of games, they have kind of struggled a little bit in front of goal. but I don't think you can read too much into that. That both matches have been away from home. They rested 7 of their first team for the game against City, and then Everton, they just weren't very good, and I think that's absolutely fair. This is a brilliant game though, because it is again, I think it's being put in front of Arsenal. It's another test. It's another game that they're not expected to win from a lot of people. But I agree with Kaz. I think that's the reason why they'll do it. They just haven't been bad for long periods of time so far this season, and they have gone on some really good runs. You actually look this season at won their opening 5 games, lost to Man United, and then won their next 6, 7, 8 games on the bounce. Drew with they had 2 bad results. They drew with Southampton and they lost to PSV Eindhoven, and everyone said that's it, they'll fall apart. Won their next 3 games before getting knocked out of the League Cup by Brighton, and then they went on another unbeaten run, which was 3 wins, a draw against Newcastle, and then another 3 wins. So they've got on lots of good runs so far this year, Arsenal, and I expect them to go back to this. But I don't think this will be a walk in the park. I don't see it being a game that Arsenal smashed Brentford in. I know they smashed them. Didn't you beat them 4-1 beginning of the season? Near the beginning of the season. Was it 4-1 or 3-0? I know we got beat 4-0 with Brentford. Sorry. That's why that number's in my head. But they smashed them earlier on the year. I don't think it'll be as easy as that. However, I can't look beyond Arsenal winning this game. I really can't.
And let's face it, Arsenal game with many changes. See, even the Arsenal v Man City game, let's face it, were Man City really the better team? Not really, if I'm honest. Like, Man City didn't convince me in that game whatsoever. They put on the conga, hey, yo, and then they done the La Conga, bro. That is it. It's done. It was a wrap after that, and Man City got into the game. And Man City did well to obviously get that goal, but it was only 1 goal. I didn't see loads of chances created personally. I don't know if Nobbins disagrees, but it wasn't that bad. They've had a blip though, George, man. Let's face it. I hope they drop points though on Sunday or Saturday.
By the way, on the form sheet since 2021, we've been like what, the 3rd team in the Premier League. So if you're gonna be talking about that, and at this moment in time, no, look,
Egal, why are you celebrating 3rd like it's something great, amazing? I'm sure Tottenham 4th in. I'm sure Tottenham 4th in that list as well. So what are you on about?
One second. The difference is the points difference between Liverpool.
Hang on though, Egal, sorry to interject. Who's top of that form table though in the same time?
No, it's not about.
It's Brentford.
No, it's not. One second. I'm talking about since 2021.
Oh,
the whole calendar year.
Time frames up to Arsenal.
2021. Arsenal, Liverpool, and Man City are literally neck and neck. I think we've actually overtaken Liverpool since they've dropped off recently.
Okay. So what's your point?
My point is the consistency that he was talking about over years. We've done that. It's actually
2021.
been
so you're talking about last season going into, and then this season. And I simply said I recognized last season you went on a 10-game win streak, and then you also finished 5th. So it was irrelevant to me.
Since Frank Lampard got sacked and we beat him at the Emirates, we've gone on several runs.
Why does the time frame switch to suit your agenda? One time it's start of 2021, now it's since Frank Lampard got sacked, and then it's going to be but since then. Let's just talk about the facts, and what's actually happened is Arsenal have shown to crumble time and time again, not just the last couple years, the last 20 years. You've shown to crumble in league title challenges. So so forgive me as a rival fan to watching you do that and then saying it's going to happen again. Arsenal last season crumbled 3 games in a row. You started to lose. This season, you're about to lose 3 games in a row. Let's see. If you don't, you don't. But again, you've got a massive game against City next week, as well as an early kickoff on the Saturday following into it. So you have like a streak of a few games that aren't just in your favor. I don't expect to see Arsenal walk out of this flourishing. I don't expect to see you guys walk out with 9 points. I just don't see it. I don't see you guys walking away as the big champions and leaders that you think you are.
You know what you said though? 9 points. That's what you've helped us with, the swing against City this year, giving us 6 points and beating them. So it's fair.
I just want to defend Arsenal for a second. George, I'm not accusing you of anything, but I think recently was it on the overlap where Gary Neville and Carragher basically both said, Arsenal aren't winning the league, City are losing it. I think there's a quote, something like that. I think
that's my paraphrase of what they said, but yes, that's what they alluded to.
That's the one. That'll be where I've read it then. Yeah. I think that, as I said, George, I'm not accusing you of doing this, but I think Arsenal are getting very disrespected by a lot of people. I think that it's very unfair, if with that paraphrased quote. I think Arsenal have been brilliant. Yes, they lost against Everton, but they were setting Centurion pace. So I think that it's much more than City have dropped off. Even if City were at the level we're used to seeing, I still think Arsenal would be top of the table, to be honest. Just want to defend Arsenal for a second
Do
there.
you know what is interesting about the title race? And I do get where George is coming from, and I don't expect anything less from Tottenham fans. And I get a lot of stick for this in Arsenal videos I do, where people say to me, why do you expect rivals to rate Arsenal? I'm like, it's not really about rivals anymore. It's about, I do expect professional pundits to essentially educate football fans. Their job is to educate us, theoretically, on paper. They're paid exorbitant amounts of money to teach us and make us understand football. And when I hear people like Neville and Carragher, who I generally speaking punditry-wise have respect for, say things like Arsenal are only where they are because City are losing. I heard Carragher say there's no way Arsenal will be 5 points clear this time next year. Impossible. I just think those kind of sweeping statements drive me nuts. But it's funny because Big Steve said it on the Terrace. There was a esteemed company and the City fans in the studio on the overlap. City fans are now saying, I don't think we're the ones catching Arsenal. City fans are conceding almost defeat at this point because they can see that their team isn't quite good enough. But yet rivals and pundits are clinging on to dear life to this idea and notion that City are going to click into gear this week and then go on a 15-game winning streak and overtake Arsenal. And there's just no evidence this season that that's going to happen. And yes, last year they may have done it in the year before that. And that's kind of why, the calendar year if you go from January the 6th, 2021 until now, we're the third best team in the league. The issue with those kind of tables is it takes out the context of what did you do in crunch moments, what teams had injury crises and problems. It takes a little bit of context away from things. And I think the context being taken away from Arsenal's title push, the context given is that City normally go on a good run and Arsenal bottled things. The context that's being removed is City aren't City this year, or they're not the City that have gone on those great runs. So it's going to be very intriguing to see what happens. What did you make, Egal, of Gary Neville's comments on the overlap? I'm sure you've seen them. Do you think he's making a fair point, or do you think it's just sort of shrouded in bitterness?
Gary Neville is a professional troll at this moment in time. When he speaks about Arsenal, he's doing it to be edgy. I don't really believe he genuinely means what he's saying at this moment in time. That's just what I have to say. As a professional, I respect him, but when it comes down to it, he's just trying to trigger people. And fair play.
He only does it because Arsenal fans bite on it.
You know what?
That's the only reason.
He even said he was doing it. Basically, after Arsenal beat somebody 1 week, he's like, yeah, I think Man United are going to come second and Arsenal are going to come third. And he's like, Arsenal fans are not going to like it. So the moment he said Arsenal fans are not going to like it, I kind of feel like he's playing up to it. But guys, I got to